just joined in? Anybody new who has just joined in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am Manoj Kumar Pandey. I am taking human resources inventory, that is 23 subject to, and we would be dealing with human resources inventory. So I would once again request all of you to put your name and enrollment number in the chat box. That would be the attendance. So we were talking about the human resource inventory, and that is the need of the organization to build the human forces to get the or achieve the goals of the organization and the different departments of the organization, for example, production, operations, finance, marketing, sales, etc. They provide a number of persons which are required for the organization. Naturally, that has to be evaluated by the HR people, and accordingly, they will forecast how many persons should be inducted in this in that very category for the need of the organization. The goals of the organizations are planned, and accordingly, the personnel are inducted. Moreover, the HR people also take out the process of recruitment, how the person is required can be recruited, whether it would be a direct recruitment or whether there would be indirect recruitment or there would be a casual hiring. So these processes are considered by the different organizations and accordingly. So this, when we talk about the functions of HR, the HR inventory is one of the important aspects which has to be taken care of. The forecast is very important in this type of inventory that require a specific analysis, whether how many quantity of people on positions which are likely to be vacant in future, and accordingly it is planned. So in the future, the HR has to analyze the number of positions or vacancies which is going to be vacant due to different reasons, superannuation, termination, or for example resignation, or any type of job allocation, etc. Different aspects are there, and the vacancies are created. Mostly the vacancies are created due to superannuation. That is the main thing. And accordingly, HR has to quantify the number of people which are likely to be inducted in for that particular job. Secondly, it should clarify the staff mixes that will exist in the future. The staff mixes in the terms of category, in terms of cadre, in terms of position, they have to clarify this. Assess, assess the staff level in different parts of the organization. This is the thing which I have already explained to you that it is assess the staff level at different level of the different parts of the organization. If these things are not done, it will lead to the shortage of people. For example, if the person has full persons has retired from the production unit, naturally that will be the weekend, and naturally he can carry out those jobs. That's also taken into consideration. So they have to do this in a precise time and a precise number because that leads to the loss to the organization. So human resource inventory is one of the important aspects which has to be taken into consideration. It has to also monitor future conditions with legal requirement for job reservation. Job reservation is one of the important aspects which has to be taken into consideration by each and every organization, and as per the Government of India recommendations, it has to be carried out so that there is no legal mm, uh, problems in the future if the recruitment is done. So that has to be taken into consideration, and the norms and regulation and the circulars of the Government of India, Ministry of Labour and Welfare, has to be carried out for that. Forecasting the internal human supply is important activity in manpower planning. Manpower planning is a basic function. Human resource planning needs to look at the source of supply and evaluate them through depth studies to ensure that suitable strategies are evolved to meet the business demand. Suitable strategies in terms of recruitment, in terms of training, in terms of induction, as per the needs of the organization, demands of the organization, goals of the organization, has to be taken into consideration, and accordingly that has to be done in a stipulated time. There are supplies are divided into two categories, internal category, external category. Internal categories, that the internal promotion, in internal job allocation, these are the internal conditions and then personnel of the organization are given, are allocated some different job for some time, for some period of time. And secondly, the process of promotion, and the person works for in the same cadre and his experience and skill over the period of time, he's given a higher responsibility and he's promoted. In that case, we can say that it is the internal supply chain which was which works there in the organization. And this is a very important aspect because every organization has the mechanism of internal promotion and also there is in the government organization there promotional and there is a meeting procedures in which the organization after the completion of a specific time in a specific cadre, the person is promoted to the senior category, whose ACR and EPRs are good and they have no negative comments on that and risk is for the promotion. So there is a departmental promotion committee, DPC, which is called the government organization. DPC is conducted after the fixed period of time in a particular cadre and the persons are promoted in respect to the existing vacancy in that cadre. So if there is one vacancy in the higher grade, then a fourth person, there is a recruitment exam or interview conducted, and the marks are evaluated in DPC and the performance of the personal interview that has to be taken into consideration in the cases of internal supply. External supply, that is a recruitment process. The advertisement is given specifying the specific job and the eligibility criteria, the experience, the skills required for that particular job. And accordingly, the persons are applied, they are shortlisted by the committee and accordingly called for interview. And after the interview process, on the basis of their performance, the persons are inducted or recruited. That is the thing. Now we should come to the human resource inventory. Various factors that influence the levels of human resource inventory of an enterprise. In order to understand these factors clearly, so these are the basic questions when you design uh, in the human resource inventory. These are the basic questions which comes in your mind. Uh, Following the human resource expert, these things comes into mind. Why or how this job will increase in size? So the requirement is there, how it will increase in size. Number two, why or how this job will decrease in size? So the human list, how to decrease the job size and the job growth. For example, if the question is just work allotment, what is done in the organization in a specific department, how many persons are actually required and how many persons are working there. So how to decrease those number of persons, how the job allocation should be done, how the things should be done in such a way that the human losses are at the minimum level. So in that case, it is very specific. We have to be very specific to design the program, design the strategy to decrease the size. That's right. These two factors, reasons for increase in employment growth. What are the reasons? What are the reasons which increase in employment growth? The important reasons, one of them is increasing the level of people wage through promotion. I have earlier talked to you about the regarding the promotion. By promotion, actually, when you give a promotion to an employee who goes to the higher cadre, naturally, when it goes to the higher cadre, the vacancy is created in the lower cadre. So that has to be taken into consideration. Naturally, in that case, the work size, the group size increases. But naturally, the work in that to the lower cadre has to be suffice or has to be replaced by somebody from outside or from even lower level to that team. So when these things take taken into consideration, when the chain moves up, we see that the vacancy is created at the lowest level. So that has to be taken into the planners consider this aspect to assess the number of likely entrants into a particular genre. It is therefore important to study the trends of the past promotion and review the future stock to assess the potential of promotion. So there has to be planning, there has to be estimation that what is the future stock which can be promoted to the higher cadre and what will be the training based or skill development for that particular job. That has to be taken or emphasized or evaluated. What is the future stock which can be taken into consideration for the future promotion and the future job, higher job responsibility. That has to be taken into consideration. Other aspect is the retention analysis, skills and performance of high skills. And these factors will come into consideration when we talk about individual employees. That is the retention at the age, what is the performance profile, the skills, the knowledge profile, experience, etc. These come into what is the possession, what are the figures of what type of workers are there. They have who can be promoted to a higher level or can be given to the who can be given a higher responsibility for the particular job. That is true. In that factor, we have to consider the education, qualification, the profile, skills, expertise, and what is the past performance of the individual. These have to be taken into consideration while designing the work group. Promotion by time scale irrespective of the needs of the organization. Promotion by the time scale, I have explained you that every organization is having a time scale promotion, list of promotion. So in a particular time, if a person is working for some time, he is promoted to the highest level and accordingly he is given a higher responsibility. However, time scale promotion has some advantages and disadvantages also. So, accordingly, for need of the organization, it is better to assess the individual who has to be promoted because higher responsibility given to a person who is not skilled enough will lead to the loss to the organization. So, time scale promotion is there in different organization, mainly in the government organization. There is a time scale promotion, and persons are automatically given higher responsibility for promoted to different cadre, higher cadre. It is a this is an undesirable method of promotion. Such a system exists in enterprise. The planner should, during the planning cycle itself, assess the number of results that will be promoted due to the lapse of time. This aspect has to be taken into consideration during the planning because this is a you have to assess the number of employees that will be promoted due to the lapse of time. So naturally, this will also lead to the void at a lower level when the time scale promotion is carried out. So at any level of the organization, the induction process has to be carried out to fill the void which has been created due to promotion, superannuation, or etc. Another void is created by redeployment. Redeployment means a person engaged in a particular job is redeployed to some other job due to his whether it should be higher responsibility or it is a similar in a similar capacity also. But the nature of job here differs in the cases of new deployment. And in that case also, in the original cadre in which the person was performing, he has to be filled by some other person because the work is created there also. I've highlighted one will also have to consider issues related to implications on individual and salary benefit. Such redeployment strategies have to be carefully chalked out, considering the actual redeployability of the employees, the investments that will have to be made in order to provide training to make the employees effective in their new job. And one will also have to consider issues related to implications of industrial relations and legislative sector and other sectors. Sometimes the redeployment leads to various problems, industrial relation problems also. So sometimes it leads to unrest in the organization. So redeployment is one of the tools, but has to be taken into in a very specific way because we have to, the organization spends on the training, its process, the organization spends to the benefit which is attached to the. For example, a person who is working in production, yes, he is shifted to the marketing. Naturally, when he is shifted to the marketing, the incurred expenditure of training. Secondly, that expenditure connected with his traveling in the field. That has to be taken into consideration. These factors have to be taken into consideration. Secondly, if the person is not so much skilled and he's from production and he's really not much skilled in marketing, he's reallocated. That may lead to dissatisfaction among other employees also and may create type of unrest in the organization. So, the government is also one of the tools, but it has to be taken in a very specific way. Some application of this exercise are in understanding the exact usage of the formal retirement. You know, after the exact usage, you have to analyze because sometimes if a person is retired, the job is carried out by the remaining individuals also. In that case, if we don't induct a person also, the organization will be functioning as usual. So sometimes uh, there is no wastage if the wastage is reduced to some level. If a person is superannuated and is retired, and in that case, the wastage level comes to a lower level in cases of normal retirement. Learning potential and the adaptability of the work group. Secondly, you have to take into consideration the potential of the group which is working, the adaptability to the organization, and the younger group in terms of skill, in terms of age, they will the probability of them adapting to the new methods of the organization in that specific specialized job. So on basis of that, you can also plan your inventory. Though such an assumption cannot be always be 100% accurate and therefore cannot be applied to all solutions and situations or segments. Yeah, but all the same, it has a good probability of being right if it is evolving. So if we see the back history of the organization, back performance of the organization with the similar group, we get some idea of the performance of the workforce, which is of the group, which is working in that specific department, and accordingly, we can consider how the human resources can be reduced to a lower level. And in cases if required, the human wastage can be reduced to some extent. In many cases, it is seen that when a person superannuates from a specific cadre or category, sometimes the organization does not recruit to fill the void because the organization feels that the work which the person was performing can be carried out by some other persons also in the same category or the same department or the same level. So in that case, reallocation in that sense gives some respite to the organization in decreasing the human wastage. Comparing various sources will indicate the comparative growth rates, levels of fresh intake, stagnation, frustration, etc. Various, when we compare the various work groups, uh, by comparing, we will find that the growth rate, the level of fresh intake, stagnation, frustration, etc. For example, if there is a vacancy in a higher career is not there, and the person is in the same category, he cannot be promoted because the vacancy does not. In that case, there is a stagnation. After stagnation, that may lead to frustration because the employee thinks that he is not promoted, and the since the vacancy the organization is also helpless because the vacancy in that particular area is not there. So in that case, frustration arises. So fresh intake of the employees will depend upon the higher level of vacancy at the higher grade or level, and accordingly the workforce will be inducted. So this has to be taken into consideration when we design the inventory, human resource inventory. It should be understood that the data on each distribution alone is very little signal unless it is supplemented with employee turnover, performance level, salary too. So age distribution is not an important factor while designing the inventory because various other factors also is taken into consideration. For example, employee turnover, what is his performance, salary groups, etc. Mapping age distribution in the various other applications has tremendous use in decision related to voluntary suppletion plans, in revising of the education roadmap, review of promotion policies, working out pensions, and retirement benefits. Over the period of time, these things get modified due to government policies, government circulars, government orders, these things are, and accordingly the inventory is decided because then the terminal benefit rules also change, promotion policies of the organization also change, education roadmap sometimes it goes to a higher level. So these things have to be taken into consideration when discussing the human resource inventory. Skill development, this is an important aspect, the skill inventory. Taking an inventory of skill and knowledge is another method of evaluating the stock of human resource in an organization. Evaluation of the human resource skills of an individual is important because skill and knowledge is one of the basic factors when a person is working in an organization. So, in a particular frame of time, you have to take into account what is the skill of the individual, what is the basic work knowledge of the individual for that particular job, and what are the redeployment possibilities. Redeployment is one of the assets for the organization because by this you can decrease the human resource losses because redeployment you can with a higher responsibility or if it is higher capabilities or skills, you can redeploy to a person to a similar job which is being carried out by another person. So in case of superannuation or resignation or termination, etc., the void which is created can be filled up by the redeployment possibilities. And so that decreases the human resources losses. Promotion transfers, the gap between future needs and the level of quality, etc., is also taken into consideration. Such an inventory becomes an essential input for the assessment of the training needs and recruitment strategies of an organization. So when we take amalgate these all facts, we come into we plan a strategy which is needed for an organization. Naturally, when you design this inventory, you have to put it into consideration the training needs because training is one of the prerequisites for the individual when he is employed or given the higher responsibility. So training aspect has to be taken into consideration. In order to obtain a fuller understanding of manpower characteristics, the skills and knowledge inventory has to be superimposed with data of an employee, turnover, and performance of them. I had mentioned that in the previous class that ACR, APR is one of the yardsticks by which the performance of the individuals are measured in the government organization, and that is reviewed by the higher authority. So, when APR is evaluated, accordingly, the employee's performance is also checked, how he is working. So, these has to be taken into consideration over his skills, what is his performance. Because his skill is there, performance is not there. So, naturally, that is not good for any organization. So evaluation gives us complete understanding of the characteristics of manpower, considering his performance and turnover evaluation. So this has to be considered when the deployment for the increasing the workforce is work inventory is to be taken into consideration. Turnover and analysis along with the skills inventory may give indications of the likelihood of the shortage of certain skills in the future. Turnover analysis sometimes, for example, if the turnover of the organization or the production company, if the turnover is low, then it is needed that some skills force has to be increased. So it gives a basic idea that as far as the turnover analysis, when you consider turnover analysis, that the workforce is needed for that particular job. So in the future need, the supply position in the market, etc., will be taken care of because turnover is the basic yardstick by which the performance of the particular tool has to be analyzed and gauged. So this gives indication what will be the likely shortage of certain specific person, specialized persons in that particular area. That gives a basic hint or idea. Performance rating and skill inventory can together bring excellent insight into the validity of managerial perception on the way how the performance trend. Managers perceive the idea that how the performance and ratings and skill inventory can together give excellent insight into the validity of management. So managerial perceptions are also taken or perceived by the performance rating and the skill inventory. So if the organization is having a very good real estate, the the perception of the managers would be that it would be okay for the future needs also. If the target of the organization is the target of the particular area has to be increased, naturally the sales force has to be increased and the perception of the perceivedness of the managerial positions would be in that line. And accordingly they would decide whether we should induce or induct more persons for that particular job. Performance rating and skills inventory can together give excellent insight into the validity of management of how the performance trend. It enables the enterprise to draw appropriate training strategies and determine the quality of persons who are hired. Naturally, if the output is not good, naturally the training is required, naturally more personnel are required, naturally quality and specialized persons are required. So qualification has to be increased, basic experience criteria has to be increased for the new education, etc. So these things are perceived on the basis of turnover analysis. Matching the skills and knowledge inventory of employees with their descriptions can indicate whether overqualified or underqualified persons are employed in the organization. When we compare the skills and knowledge inventory of the employees, we can come to a conclusion that whether we have underemployed or overemployed. And accordingly, we in the future strategies we plan and induct the person according to our needs or the needs of the organization. So this is very important when we consider this because without this, we will get into a problem of underemployment or the job specific job not taken up by the skilled person or not taken by the specific person or not taken by the people having expertise in that field. So this is very important. Now come the making skills and knowledge inventory of the employees with the job description can indicate over the thus helping planners to evolve the redeployment stages and having practices. This I have discussed you how to evolve redeployment. This has been explained to you. Now there is a pictorial representation of influence on HR inventory level. The human resources inventory, the taking in processes by promotion in redeployment, external hiring, mergers and acquisitions. So this is how the human resource inventory, the personal, the human resource inventory is built up from promotions in deployment, redeployment, external hiring, mergers and acquisition. Together, promotion out, redeployment out, voluntary separations, retirement, involuntary separation, sabbaticals, long illness, death, etc. These are the processes by which the inventory in that particular area goes out. So inward is through promotions in, deployment in, external hiring, mergers and acquisitions. Out processes, promotions out, like promotion the personnel go out. The redeployment, if the redeployment is done from one category to another category, naturally the void is created, that is out. Voluntary separation, if the voluntary personnel separates from the organization, it goes on superannuation, retirement. Involuntary separation, for example, a disciplinary action is taken against the employee and his dismissed, terminated. That is involuntary separation. Sabbatical long illness, person goes for long illness without any notice, and the disease is uncurable, or there is a physically accidental happening and goes for physical disability, or there is a death. So in that cases also where there is a void created. So these are the processes by which the things, the human resources inventory decreases. These are the process by which the personnel of the organization go out. In this, I am not taking out promotion out and redeployment. These two factors are the persons are there in the organization, but the void is created in the specific category or the specific job what they were carrying out. But voluntary separations, retirement, involuntary separations, and all industry, etc. These create void. External hiring. What is external hiring? Anybody who can speak? Anybody?
So what's that?
What is external hiring?
So when we are hired from outside our organization
Hmm.
for any kind of post, so that should be a external hiring.
Hmm.
If we
Anybody else?
promote, that was the internal hiring. If we
Hmm.
promote our junior level staffs in a senior level, so that
Hmm.
will be internal hiring. If external
Hmm.
hiring, if we hire a designated staff from other company or any other organization, that should be a external hiring.
Anybody? Anybody who can give an example of external hiring with instances? Anybody? One of my known friends, uh, Chandramani Singh, he was working as vice president in LG, LG Electronics. He was working there. He got a very good offer for Videocon. Immediately he switched over to Videocon. Videocon hired Chandramani Singh at the package twice what he was getting in LG. And that was a very good example. And he just became the president marketing there. So these are the examples when the organization thinks that that particular person is performing very well in that organization. The sales are shooting up. External hiring is done with an additional package, with additional incentives and additional benefits, and is immediately taken up by the different organization. So external hiring depends upon the capabilities of the individual. If a person has a very high capability, potential, then the person is hired by any other organization with additional benefits. Sometimes organization needs a specialized person for their specific job. So in that case, they hire the people in spite of some basic problems also, but they think that over a period of time, this person will give his potential to the organization and that would turn the goals of the organization in a positive way. So that organization hires that person to change the things. In private organization, this is a very important practice which is taken nowadays, and every multinationals are looking for the persons who have a very good capability. As far as sales and marketing is concerned, as far as HR expertise is concerned, they immediately hire the person. They are looking for the person and the organization. Similar was the case with the Sun Pharma. Similar was the case with the Alchem Pharmaceuticals. They hire the person from outside for their marketing thing. This additional package. So the hiring is one of the important things, and naturally that decreases the inventory of an organization when one person from one organization goes to it. Do you have any examples of hiring? Good example of hiring? Anybody?
Hiring means if any kind of person performing well in other organization, if he
Organization, yes. If he is performing very well, organization is doing very good. Any organization who wants to change the production, who wants to change its HR activities, who wants to change its marketing activities, selling activities, they hire that person even at the higher cost for betterment of their organization. That is hiring. That is external. Mergers and acquisitions. Mergers and acquisitions also affect the human resource supply. For example, the organization merges with another organization or acquires any other organization. Naturally, the human resource supply may increase stock levels. So that increases. When a company merges with another company, that increases. Naturally, the employees of that organization will also come into this. And naturally, that will increase the inventory, increase the stock level. Reason for decrease in employment is promotion out. Promotion out to other level is the reason for depletion in a particular workplace. Planner must consider the trend of promotion out in the past and present. That I have discussed in the earlier chapter. When promotion is taken into consideration, naturally at the same time you have to look upon the vacancies created in that very cadre. So accordingly we have to plan. Because by promotion, workforce decreases in that particular cadre. Naturally, it increases in other cadre, but in that particular cadre, it decreases promotion. Sometimes it increases in the higher category when the category the promotion is done, or sometimes it remains the same. That is the condition. For example, the last year the vacancy in the higher category was 9. This year the vacancy due to superannuation is created. So this person from the lower category goes to higher category. That was the vacancy. Cut off. There is no issue. Simple. Sometimes, if an sales target is increased, vacancy is created in that organization, in that cadre. So, promotional vacancy is one, and one is the direct recruitment vacancy. Therefore, two vacancies are there now. One would be filled by promotion, one would be through direct recruitment. Because, why direct recruitment? Because the sales target has been increased. So in that case, the workforce there, working with force in work personal inventory would increase. But the work created in the lower category, which when due to promotion, that would decrease in that particular category. So this is the factors which has to be taken into consideration. Employment groups sometimes decreases due to promotion out also. Exhibit 3 illustrates that for a particular job group, there could be more than one group of jobs serving as a receiving group. Planners therefore have to first assess the demands of the receiving group and the formability from the feeder group and thus arrive at analysis of what is likely to be lost due to outbound promotion. Job group under consideration, for example, job group under consideration, receiving group must be group A, maybe group B, maybe group C. So the personnel from the job group under consideration for promotion, they move to different groups, A, B, C. These A, B, C group is different in terms of job skills, in terms of job specialization, in terms of operation. So these from a job group under consideration promotion, group A, group B, group C. So feeder group is will be the entire group and the receiving group would be the specific group for the specific job. That has to be taken into consideration. This is this is explained here. The excess employees of a particular job group can be decreased through the conscious implementation of deployment strategy. I have told you in earlier class, the redeployment strategy is a strategy employed by the organization to decrease the work loss, human loss. This is the redeployment strategy which is most nowadays employed by most of the organization to decrease the human workforce or the human resource group. To decrease, they redeploy one person with the additional responsibilities and decrease a person from that category. Giving a specific job or giving a training for some time to a particular person to carry out this job and they give that responsibility to that person. And they will not recruit the next person there. Now that is responsibility what the person was carrying out there is shared by some other person who has been trained accordingly. By this, the human resource loss is decreased by redeployment strategy. Voluntary separation. Voluntary separation is primarily a result of employees resigning from the services. If some personal problems are there with the employee, if there is a conflict between the employee and the employer, if there are other reasons, family problems, social problems, any type of psychological problem, health problem, any type of problem, and the employees resign, that is voluntary separation. Voluntary separation may also arise due to employees opting for early retirement. Now, different VRS schemes are taken out by the different government organizations as well as the private organizations. So many persons who are above the age of 55, they opt for the voluntary retirement. They don't want to work. They want to retire. In this case, the organization thinks that, okay, He's at the fag end of his career. Okay, we can give him VRS. And he with the super terminal benefits, he retires. So voluntary separations are nowadays very common, and that is also decreasing the workforce. Because of voluntary separations, plans announced by the enterprise, while announcing such plans, the organization must make an assessment of their likely follow. But when you give a voluntary retirement to the personnel, you have to also assess the consequences of that. The person who is getting out of the organization, the job responsibilities of the specific job which was done by the individual, how it can be carried out by the other individual. Who can do that job? This has to be taken into consideration. So, if it is not taken into consideration, that would be a fallout. That would be a loss to the organization. Because many persons are so you have to assess the people who are about 55 years of age who are seeking the voluntary retirement. You have to perceive that thought while planning. And naturally, you have to take into the keep a stock, buffer stock, who can act as a replacement for the persons who are getting retired by training the person from inside, by enriching the skills of the individual of the inside the organization, so that as soon as the person retires, whenever he retires, or whenever it is a VRS or short VRS, he is replaced by the person who is in the organization. In many cases, we have to hire from outside it. Because at that time there is no such a person who can be expertise in that field. So you have to hire also. Because sometimes this type of vacancy is created at a higher level also. At the level of president, vice president, director, deputy director. This is created. But at that moment in time, we have to perceive the thing that somebody should be there to take up this job. Feeder and receiving group of promotions. Now, this is a very useful graph. Sales executive can become a group of area sales manager. Marketing executives can become area sales manager. Marcom executives can become area sales manager. And this would be the feeder group. These are the groups who can be a probable area managers. See, these are the feeder groups who can feed the vacancy of area sales manager. From the regional sales manager, receiving group. Receiving group who would be regional sales manager, product managers, distribution channel. These are the receiving group. Area managers
Sir, what
can
are
be
the Marcom executives? Marcom
mar-
executives?
market executives are also part of the persons who are engaged with the marketing activities of the organization.
Okay, sir.
Market executives also, they are sometimes named as they are also the marketing persons who market the products in a different way. There is a personal selling or by the channel distribution, etc. So they are termed as market as executives. Now these area sales managers can become regional sales managers, can become product managers, can become distribution channel managers. Okay, so this is a feeder group, this is a receiving group. It is very well explained. Feeder group, receiving group. So naturally, this feeder group, when it goes to the receiving group, feeder group goes to the receiving group. Naturally, these vacancies which are created here has to be fulfilled by somebody. So perception and perceiveness is very necessary when you are planning the inventory. Naturally, this at all does not get weighted because all the sales executive cannot become the area sales manager. All marketing executive or marketing Marcom executive cannot become the sales manager. So in that case, you have to take into consideration what are the requirements. But anyhow, you see that some vacancy is naturally created among these groups. So accordingly, the feeder group analyzes these things, and then accordingly it works for the organization in terms of the things which can be a vacancy in the future, and accordingly they work for the organization. So there is a feeder group. The feeder group should always be more than the receiving group. One thing is very necessary. Feeder group should be more than the receiving group, because without feeder group there cannot be a receiving group. From where you can give to the receiving group? From the feeder group. The feeder group should be always higher in number than the receiving group. Naturally, then you can substantiate the persons, because all the persons cannot be promoted at a time. Every person cannot be promoted at a time. So all sales executives cannot be promoted to the area sales manager. All marketing executives cannot be promoted to the area manager. So accordingly, it has to be taken into consideration to how it has to be done. You understand the point? Anybody? Anybody who is not following it? Everybody is following.
Yes, sir.
Now come to another point. A planner is expected. A planner is thus expected to study the trends of normal asset distribution and impact of early retirement plans, if any, so as to assess the a planner is thus expected to study the trends of normal attrition and impact of early retirement plans, if any, so as to assess the extent of which the stock of a particular job group is likely to be depleted during the plan period. This I have to this I have already explained to you. Anybody who is having the problem? Anybody who is having a problem? A planner is thus expected to study the trends of normal attrition and the impact of early retirement plans. Early retirement plans are the plans which our organization sometimes flouts, for example, VRS, etc. Another the persons who are excess in the organization is there is a circular from the organization that you can retire from the organization, etc. So in that cases also, the organization flouts the circular, and in that case, many individuals from the organization who has a higher age level, they opt for the voluntary retirement, or they voluntarily go out of the organization. So in that case, the organization is at a profitable side, because if the turnover of the organization is not good, and in that case, if they the plans of the organization is in a different direction. In that case, the organization opts for, okay, you can retire, and in that case, the inventory is not into much consideration, because mostly such organization which organization is losing its capability in the market, or the trends are very poor. Most of the time, these type of organizations flout these type of plans because they are just in plan of winding of the organization, and accordingly they do such type of circulation. Retirement in most countries, organization is specify the rate of age of retirement or superannuation. Once a person attains a specific age, you know that the retirement is 60 in the government organization, and in some cases 65, and in the private organization it is more or less 58 in most of the organization. A specified a specific age, he is automatically retires from the employment, and thus planning can easily calculate the number of retirement. Naturally, there is a employees data, in the personal department, and accordingly they calculate the number of persons who would be retiring from the organization in the coming period of time. So accordingly, they plan the future recruitment process. So calculating the number of retirees for a particular year, they calculate the number of recruitment has to be done in that particular year specifically. In those countries, enterprises where the age of retirement is not specified, an assessment can be made on what percentage of employees are likely to lose due to retirement based over the trend of the past and the current age profile. In many organizations, the superannuation age is not mentioned, mostly in the foreign countries. There is a contractual year. And the concept of contractual year, which is nowadays quite prominent in India also, because many government organizations are also hiring the person on contract basis. Now, the contract, when you are hiring a person on contract basis, the age factor doesn't comes into consideration. When the age factor does not come into consideration, it is the you just uh, extend the terms of that person, terms and conditions of the person of employment. If he's performing well, okay, fine and good. If he's not performing well, he's terminated or his extension is not given. So accordingly, in cases of this type of organization, the retirement is not a factor. So in that cases, the perseverance is done mostly on the capabilities and skills of the individual who has taken up that particular job, and then accordingly the assessment is done. Retirement is one of the factors which is mostly prominent in the government organizations, because in the government organization there is a specific age, and on that age is a person has. So there is not much problem there also, because most of the persons who are retiring, accordingly the planning is done by the personal department, that they induct the person before the retirement, and the vacancy is created, advertised, and accordingly they do the things in a particular way. Now I think the time is 1 past 6. I should close the class, and in the next chapter we will be doing the things which is left behind. So I would request you once again, everybody. I would request everybody to just in the chat they should fill up their names and their enrollment number. Mr. Saha, Saurabh Saha,
Yes, sir, I'm available.
who was asking the Markham executives?
Yes, sir, I'm asking Saurabh Shah.
So sort of marketing, they also plan the budget also for the sales market. Apart from they doing the marketing and sales job also, they plan the budget also, sales budget also.
Okay.
Market also. Everybody has put their name in the chat and the enrollment number. Hello,
Yes, sir.
am I audible? Who are And who are present? Just a minute. Aparna Ghosh. Aparna Ghosh. Aparna Ghosh. Present. Aparna Ghosh. Devaswitma Majumdar.
Yes, sir.
Devasita Majumdar.
Yes, sir. Present.
Chandrani Ghoshal.
Yes, sir. Present.
Mosmi. 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 Shiva Naskar. Shiva Naskar. Unmute your mics. Unmute your mics. Unmute your mics. Mosmi, present. Shiva.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Mosmi.
Sir, she was replying in chat. She said, yes, sir.
Saurav Saha.
Yes, sir, I'm available. Present.
Sumi Chakravarti. Sumi Chakravarti. Sweta Goswami.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will be meeting in the next class. Now you all can leave the class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.